All right, we are live.
Hey folks, welcome to our Saturday Night Live on Friday night.
On time.
On time. Are we? No, we're not.
There we are.
Yeah, we are. It's 8 o'clock.
Well, that was an accident. So just to tell you the format, I'm here to answer your questions tonight. It's the topic is Ask Me Anything, and I won't lie. Anyway, we're only on for an hour tonight because we do our second hour on Thursday, same time, and that's when we get to go around the class and meet all the students, including the vets. We are about to start class number 35. I have a hard time believing that we've had that many classes because I still remember the first time we did it and wondering how is this going to work. So we have 2 Canadian vets coming in this class. I think we have 2 or 3 Canadian students. It's going to be a all-Canadian class almost. And Tony Payne, is Tony watching tonight? Does he know we're on? You should tell him.
He's watching.
Tony's on. So Tony from Australia is coming to be my assistant. So we tried to do the right thing and fly him in a few days early, let him acclimate. Is it acclimate when you have to get used to the time?
No, that's weather.
Altitude. Anyway, we got him as far as Newark, New Jersey, and then they canceled his flight. So tonight they're going to get him into, what time's his flight? Tonight
10 o'clock.
Tonight they're going to get him into Bangor, and then Jake is going down to get him?
Yeah.
Jake's going down to get him. Meanwhile, Kyle, who's my other assistant this week, is flying in, actually he's right now?
Yeah, he's in Montreal.
Shoot, you could send him down to get Tony, then we could film.
After your commercial.
Oh, yeah, we'll meet him down there. Anyway, so Kyle's going to, Mitch, my son, is driving up to pick up Kyle. So gang's all here. Class number 35. And I think this brings our total vet count up to 240. If I did my math right. A lot of people. So if you're one of the combat wounded vets that is planning to apply for our intermediate drawer making workshop in October, compliments of John in Florida, you gotta submit your entry by June 30. Don't let that deadline pass. All right, Frick, you want to go ahead and throw some questions at me?
Sure. First one's from Bill T.
Bill?
Bill T.
Where
in
is
the
he?
Chat. Doesn't say.
Hey, Bill.
He says, question for Rob. We'd love to hear anything about the new Cosman 5.5 plane. I realize it takes time to develop a new tool, but even a confirmation that it's moving forward would be appreciated.
Sure. It's moving forward.
Well, can we do a drive-by? Jake gets... So here's the problem. If we talk about it too soon, then people start calling Gina asking questions. And Gina and Pam are both busy packing orders. So
We don't have answers.
and we don't have answers. So here's what I'll tell you. The first 100 bodies have been machined. They're ready. The first 100 frogs... The frogs done?
No, they're being machined.
They're being machined, so by middle of next week. The front knob is settled on. We settled on the front knob, so Chris has got the tooling for that. Chris Davenport. Howdy, Chris. I hope you're watching. He's not feeling well this week. Tried to get him to come down, but he's been off work all week. The rear tote, I just redesigned. I've got a Bedrock number 6. And it's just a beautiful handle. The position of it, it's just angled enough that it feels great. So I redid the rear tote. So that's just has to be figured out. We got that done actually. Blades and chip breakers are already in. They're IBC. Adjustars are ready. Screws, all the screws. Have we solved the problem on the lateral adjustment lever? But it's almost.
No, it's in process.
It's in process. So that's, and the frogs, the yoke is done.
Yoke is also in process.
So there's a couple little things, tweaky things. So keep your fingers crossed. Hope it won't be long. Cast stainless body, really tight tolerances. I think I'll be able to say we'll have the best tolerances in the industry. Finish is fabulous. I've been using one for the last 2 months anyway. That's all I can tell you so far. We will sell the first 100. They will be numbered and signed. So that'll be kind of a serialized sign, yeah. So at some point we'll put out a call so you can, we should be doing that right away. If you want one, put your name on it. Frick, next question, please and thank you.
All right, next one comes from John Adams in Denver, Colorado.
John in Denver. I spent a lot of time in Denver. I used to teach at the Woodcraft in Denver and also at the one in, what's the other place just outside of Denver? There's 3 Woodcrafts right there. I'll think of it in a minute, but go ahead, what's the question?
Is there a certain Jenga level we could use to know if a 17-degree chisel should be used?
That's a really good question. Because we had a customer in Florida, not Florida, in England, send his chisel in. He said, yeah, this won't hold an edge. So we tried it, sure enough. The pine was too hard, so it's not. So if I come over here, I'm going to just deal with North American woods. So eastern white pine is 380. Sugar pine is 380. And that seems to be fine. Basswood is 410. That's fine. Aspen is 420. That's fine. Cottonwood is 430. I'm gonna just keep going up the scale until I find one that I've used where it's too hot. So yellow poplar, it's tulip poplar. They call them yellow poplar, tulip poplar.
How much is it? What's the Jenga?
540.
I think yes.
So I'm running along here to see if I think the jack pine and the red pine are too hard, and they are 560 and 570.
I would say 500 or below.
Yeah, I'm thinking 500 is probably the point where it's you're going to get into trouble. Yeah. And just to give you some idea, I'll read you some low 500s. So butternut is 490, eastern hemlock is 500, bald cypress is 510,
Sitka.
S-T-I-K-A, they used to make airplanes out of it, is 510, black spruce, which is we have here, is 520, hemlock is 540, yellow poplar is 540. So I always tell people on tulip poplar, the heartwood is green, the sapwood is white. Did I say that right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what's unique about that is, in most other woods, the heartwood is harder than the sapwood. In tulip poplar, the sapwood is harder than the heartwood. You can cut the green heartwood, no problem. But you try to chop the white sapwood and it'll fold the edge. So something else too when you're doing that, you cannot, I'll show you. You can't allow it to pry at all. So you really have to have a light touch on that hand that supports the chisel. I'm just looking for a piece of, there's a piece of pine. Give me that other piece so I can put it underneath it, please. I got some stuff to show you too. Since it's been a while since we've been together. So when I'm chopping using those, I don't know if you realize it or not, but we now offer a 3/4 17 degree. So you can go quarter, half, and 3/4. So when I'm chopping this, I hold that chisel very lightly so the chisel goes where it wants to go. You just cannot pry at all. That edge will fold if you do. And I've had it where you get into a certain piece of pine and it'll cause the edge to roll. But gives you pretty clean. The edge is still good. Just got to be really careful with them. There's not much there. Next, Frick.
Next one comes from Jeff Hassey in the chat.
Hey, Jeff.
I'm having some difficulty gluing up a box made of catalogs, as it's a very hard and oily wood. Do you have any recommendations?
Catalogs, spelled also known as Mexican rosewood. Catalox, I think.
K. Well, he spelled it with a K.
K? Is it K? Is catalogs with a K? Yeah. What do we use it for? What do we use catalogs for? A bunch of it.
Shooting wood fences.
Oh, yes, yes. It is hard. Around here they would say hard as a bull turd. And gluing it up. You know what? I don't know if I've ever used catalogs. Well, yes, I have. I've used it for boxes. And I made saw handles out of it. That's right, too. For John the jeweler. I made his saws, all his saws out of catalogs. Really durable, hard wood. What's his problem, gluing it?
Yeah, it's too oily.
Yeah. You know, I've heard people talk about wiping it down with a lacquer thin or something, but you're just wiping it off the surface. We used urethane glue, Gorilla urethane glue, and that may have worked.
Or construction adhesive.
Yeah, but I don't like that.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
So I would try a couple pieces with Gorilla Glue, and remember that stuff expands a whole lot more than you think it will. So use it very sparingly, and you always moisten one piece and put glue on the opposite piece. That's how it sets off.
Luther says it's spelled with a K, so
Catalogs, yeah.
it's probably a C.
Just don't ask him to spell it.
Next one.
Yeah.
This one comes from Ernest Winkle, also known as Greg.
Greg?
What would an acceptable substitute for northern white pine be, since it isn't readily available here in the Northwest United States?
Well, sales pitch time. You know we sell bundles of already prepped dovetail practice wood out of clear northern white pine. So up there, you guys tend to use, what do they use up there? I hate it. Alder.
Actually, that was Luther's suggestion.
Yeah, it's such I hate that wood. It's a weed. A vile weed, I believe was Newman's expression.
About broccoli.
Yes. I never liked lodgepole pine. There's something about it. I didn't like it. I don't know. If you're just talking practice wood, then probably how come I can't keep that in my head? What was the name of the one?
Alder?
Alder?
I don't know.
Alder? Yeah. Alder's probably as good as any. Basswood. Basswood is nice and soft too. Where's alder fall? Let's go to our Jenga scale.
Luther also suggested spruce.
Oh, I don't know if I would agree with him on that. Alder. I should know it just by the look of it. Come, I don't see it on here. Can't imagine it being above 600. Well, let's look at these bottom ones. Northern white cedar, that's our side. Western red cedar.
Do they call it red alder?
Quake and aspen, but that's literally a weed. They have a northern white cedar and Atlantic white cedar. I thought they were the same thing.
It's $5.90.
$5.90, really?
It should be under. See if it's under.
Yeah, red alder. Wow, I would not have thought that to be that hard. Yeah. Try it and let us know. Oh, here, I want to show you a couple things. First of all, here's a new product that the other day, did we? I don't think we already talked about this, did we? So we're going to, I was using this the other day and I thought, you know what, we need to make these. People would love to have this. So this is a beading plane. Well, I keep thinking I've already shown you this, but maybe I haven't.
Well, on Instagram you did.
Oh, okay. So I made the plane. I had the iron out of an old beading plane that the plane was beat. No pun intended. So I took the iron out and I made a plane to fit. So this cuts a 1/4 inch bead. We're going to make an 1/8, 3/16, 1/4, and 3/8. Anyway,
Yeah.
so this is, Jake, are they close enough to be able to see? So get the profile. See that?
Oh, I lost video.
Lost video.
Oh, it's coming and going.
I don't know why you'd lose it. Nothing's.
Okay, it's back now.
So there's the profile.
No, I lost it again.
Well, what's your problem? Find it.
Come on, Frick.
That's not me. He's the one moving.
Well, you're over there jinxing us. What have you done? Is it back?
It's back, yeah. It's coming.
All right. So you got a little bit of fence right here that you're going to lay against the side. Now you want to stay in a nice straight line, and you don't want to be wiggling like this. And what's really nice is that there's no sanding. And you just keep planing until the plane no longer picks up any wood. It'll bottom out. So we'll have IBC make the blades. How close am I to being done? Oh, that goes quite a bit further. IBC will make the blades. We'll make the planes. And you'll be able to cut this neat little bead to dress an edge up. So there's what it looks like. So that would be along the bottom. And I'll show you where I did it recently. We've got a video that we haven't shot yet, but we're going to. And this is just simple woodworking projects for the new hand tool woodworker, where you can practice your dovetails. So this one has a tongue on the top, has a groove on the bottom. What's the matter? And some shaker pegs. So you fasten this to the wall. And I just to dress up that bottom, I just put a little bead on there. Doesn't that look neat?
Tony Payne wants to know how you sharpen that blade.
Well, you want to maintain the profile, so you just hone the back. Hone the back of it. I suppose if you ever just damaged it, you'd have to go in and repair it, but you'd use a round slipstone to do the profile, but best not to do the profile, just hone the back. Come on, fit in there. There. So that fastens to the wall, and then of course these keep it from falling this way, and the bead keeps them falling forward. Now I haven't decided how I'm going to dress up these outside edges yet, but we'll have to do something that kind of coincides with that bead. So let me know if that interests you. If you think, oh yeah, I would like to add that to my repertoire, and depending on how kind of response we get, we'll determine how fast we go after it. But I'm going to start making the bodies, and then I'll challenge IBC with doing the blades. I got more stuff for you, but let's take another question. Rick?
Next one is from...
Is Luther in Hawaii? He hasn't come over yet.
No, it's still over on the island.
Next one's from B.
Watch out for the
Scott.
sharks. What?
B. Scott in the chat.
B. Scott?
Like B, first initial,
B
last name
period Scott?
I
Not
just got
B.
my
Scott.
first ever hand plane. It is a cheap Jorgensen from Amazon. Where do I start? Will I have to flatten it, sharpen it? I've not messed with it yet. I'm kind of intimidated.
Well, a guy named Super Dave once asked me a question like that, and I said, look around for that circular bin. Oh my. Oh, be nice, be nice. My advice is always buy the tool you want to grow old with, not the one you think you're going to graduate from. It makes the good one more expensive. What brand was it?
Jordan.
Is that thing that we? No. You know what?
Oh, it's the orange ones.
Yeah. Oh. How do I answer this question politely?
He says he can still return it.
Yes, that's the answer. Return it. Return it. It's not worth fighting with. No, return it. Please, return it. Call me.
Frustration in the box.
Return it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you know, the average person that gets into hand tool woodworking has no instruction. They're doing it off a video or book. It's like trying to learn how to sharpen. How do you know when you're there? Like running a race without a finish line. How do I know when I won? So the reason why we always send our planes out already sharpened, so that at least they know, oh, that's what a sharp hand plane feels like. It'll get dull, but at least you have had that experience, so you have a benchmark somewhere floating in the ether. So trying to start hand tool woodworking with planes that are terrible, you don't know what you don't know.
He said, and 5 what?
Where is he? Where is
He
he?
hasn't said where he's from yet.
Ask him.
Where are you? What? Hello?
I'm
didn't
going to
hear.
assume United States.
Tell me where you are.
Yeah, so it must be in the state.
Well, I mean, I'd recommend a Wood River 5.5.
Wherever you know.
Tennessee.
Yeah, if you've got the money, then buy a Lee Nielsen. If you want to wait and spend more money, buy a Super 5.5. Buy a 5.5. That's the plane. If you came to my shop and you used all my planes, sharpened and tuned, you'd say, oh, the 5.5 is my favorite because it just fits the bill in almost every circumstance, with a few minor exceptions. And it works really well on a shooting board. We have a shooting board, we have a video coming out really soon that's going to address the shooting board topic with planes and the new grip versus a designated shooting board plane and shooting board, like the Stanley 5152. So if you want good value, get the 5.5 from Wood River. If you want a really good plane, buy a Lee Nielsen 5.5. And if you want the very best, with options currently not available anywhere, wait a few more months and get the Super 5.5 that we'll be able to sell anywhere. Next, Frick.
Fred Wiggum in the chat.
Oh, can I address one more thing before we go on to Fred's? So then if people say, well, just buy an old Stanley and fix it up. Again, if you are new to this, how do you know when it's fixed up? So I'm not a of course I manufacture tools and sell them, so yes, I'm a salesman. But I'm also, most of the people that I sell tools, I end up getting in front of at some point and teaching them, so I can't leave them down the garden path. I used to teach a class in reviving old planes, old Stanley planes, but again, it's a lot of effort to put in. Now, if you do, hey, there's a plug. We just, after 5 or 6 years, we got back in stock. You want to go grab one, Jake, one of each? The new blade shipbreaker. So we show them. So if you're bent on fixing up an old Stanley, maybe if it belongs to your father or your grandfather, we have a solution. I'll show you when he comes back. Okay, next question, Fred.
All right, the one I was about to read was
Yeah.
from Fred Wiggum in the chat.
Hi, Fred.
Have you ever worked with Royal Blackwood? I believe it is heat-treated Purple Heart. I'm going to use it as a guitar fretboard.
Royal Blackwood.
He says it's heat-treated Purple Heart.
I have, that's brand new to me, so the answer is no. African Blackwood, Purple Heart, but I've never had, and Royal, have I got any woods with a Royal in it? I don't think so. That's a new one. Tell me what you think when you've used it, but I haven't. Next, Rick.
All right, next one comes from Danny Stockland in South Jersey.
Hey, Danny.
He says, you mentioned in many of your hand planing videos that when planing long edges, you can create an unwanted hump, saying that it's just the nature of how a hand plane works. Can you please explain why that happens?
I wish I knew. First of all, let me explain how a jointer, a power jointer works. You have two tables. You have an in-feed table and you have an out-feed table. And those tables are always parallel. Now, they may not be the same height, but they're always parallel. And the difference between the two, that difference, is what the cutter takes off. So your cutter is always designed to have the top of the cutting circle at the top of the outfeed table. So as you move your board along, what gets taken off by the cutter gets picked up by the outfeed, so you end up with a nice straight edge. Makes perfect sense. And then you look at a hand plane. I'll grab this big number 8. And you have something that is hopefully flat, and you've got a cutter sticking up in the middle. So there's always going to be a gap, isn't there, directly behind the cutter where the material's been removed, but this part of it is sitting on the unplaned surface. This part behind the blade is sitting on the plane surface, so there's a bit of a gap. So all I can tell you is the consequence of continuously planing a straight edge is you're going to create a bit of a hump. And you just have to go in and hollow it out. You purposely create a bit of a hollow. You have sometimes to skew your plane to do that. And then you start planing again, and you got to stop before you stop somewhere between this and this. Stop when it's straight. And I always use my plane just like this on its edge to determine when I'm there. Oh, so we don't have any that aren't already boxed up. So if you have, can you grab that? Can you grab one of those Stanleys over there?
Which one? The bedrock or the...
The regular, because most of them aren't going to have a bedrock. I'll just show you what you have to do. Now look at this. I'm looking for my knife. Where's my knife? Where's my knife? So I come over to my well-organized drawer. I reach in, and what do I pull out in its neat little home? My knife. I feel so organized. We're going to do a video, a YouTube right away, on the top 10 changes? Improvements. Top 10 shop improvements. And they all have to do with organization. And I'm getting so organized, I scare myself. But my goodness, being able to find stuff. And I was telling Ken tonight when he came in, I said, I've been having to go through this embarrassment for the last 3 months, because every time I would brag about how everything has a place, I'd open this up and, where's my 45-degree needle nose? Big empty spot. And I came in today after being in Halifax for 2 days. I open it up and there it is. Magically appeared. So, way back in 2008, I came up with this idea to make an old hand plane better. So here's a nice example of a Stanley number 6. This is called a 4-plane. The sole should be very close to 18 inches. It is right on, actually 18 to 16th. The blade is 2 3/8 inch wide. So you remove the lever cap. And here's the problem you deal with. You got this little wee thin blade. I'm going to measure it, and I'm going to bet that it comes in somewhere between 80 and 85 thousandths of an inch. Any guesses?
78.
75 thou. So 75 thousandths of an inch in thickness. So the problem you encounter with that is the blade is really thin. So they had to have a chip breaker. Now the old style chip breaker had that hump. Jake's changed these all out on me. So the chip breaker was there to help stabilize that thin blade. And these things, I mean, you can flex them, they're so thin. They were hard to sharpen because they would literally bend under the weight of your fingers. And this was the Achilles heel. This was the Achilles heel. Do you want to grab that, Norris?
Why wouldn't I?
Well, you're looking out of shape. You haven't played hockey all month. Ice has all been out.
That's great.
Oh, we did. We got one game. We had to drive an hour, almost 2 hours. Like pulling teeth to get people to come with us. What's wrong with them? So, what? No, it's right there on the table. It's on that table with all, I was going to do another display. So that little thin blade was the Achilles heel of the plane. It would create what we call chatter. That means the blade vibrates under the tension put on it when it's moving through the wood, and that vibration or chatter, you can hear it actually. You use a plane like that and you don't even know what you're listening to, but you hear this high-pitched vibration. Then I put one of these on that same piece of wood and it's solid as a rock. So here's a Norris. This is probably, this may be pre-World War II. See how thick the blade is? Massive. So they knew the advantage of a big thick blade. So this blade comes in at 165 thou. So that's 2 and a bit thicker. Has a chip breaker on it as well. Well, why can't you just solve the problem and put a thick blade in this old Stanley plane? You know, there is a problem. I'm going to show you it, and I'm going to show you the solution. Rick does such a nice job packaging these up. I hate to... Brandon? Oh, I thought Rick did them. Rick dips them? It's a team. It's a team sport. I'm going to have to just cut right through it because I can't spend the time.
Ken, you want to give me the name of the guy for the halfway?
All right. Rick's going to shoot me for making him have to work extra. So sooner or later you'll actually get access to it, but I guarantee you the moisture won't find it. And then Rick dips them. If I can get that off without... Can I get that off without cutting myself? Probably not. There we go. Okay. Jake, can you come close? I want to show you the difference. The blade, this blade is 131 thou thick, and the chip breaker, I think, is the same amount. It is. I'm looking at it. So here you go. There's the difference. Okay? So why can't you just put that in there? Well, here's the problem. This little thing right here. This is called the yoke. It adjusts to the, it connects to the adjuster knob, in this case the adjuster. Jake changed all these out. And it has to pass through this little thin blade. It only has to be long enough to go through this thin blade to make it to this slot in the chip breaker so that you get a full range of adjustment forward and back. If you put a thick blade like that on, that little that short yoke barely comes through. In fact, it just comes through. If you get any movement at all, it's very little. So now you have to sit there and tap, tap, tap in order to get it to work. So I got this genius idea to attach 2 little metal tabs to the chip breaker. Take it off so you can see. Like that. See that? And those 2 little tabs, they now reach down in. They reach down into the blade, and they get closer to that yoke so you get your full range of motion. Meanwhile, you benefit from that big, thick blade that doesn't vibrate. You can almost just do that, and it'll make a huge difference. Cryogenically treated A2 triple tempered steel. Now, there's only one other thing you may have to do. These throats were made to accommodate that thickness of blade. And about 60% of the time, you're going to have to go in and file that. But it's not a big deal. Hold it like that, clamp it in your vise, and file that mouth just open enough until the blade will project. It doesn't take much work, but it will make your plane go from just a plane to one that actually works extremely well because of that super thick blade. And we've been waiting. We've been out of them since 2019, I think. And we just got a shipment. They just went on the website literally a day or two ago. Well, we have, and the only two sizes we have are the 2 3/8. So the 2 3/8 fits a 4.5, a 5.5, as long as it's after 1939, a 6, and a 7. And we have a 2-inch as well, and that fits a number 4 and a number 5. So that covers 90% or more of the planes people are going to use. So there you go. You can fix up that old plane. Okay, next Frick.
Wait.
What? Oh, yes, if you're a combat wounded vet that has been to our program in one of the 34 classes, soon to be 35, and you're on tonight, we'd love to hear from you so we can give you a shout out, put a smile on our face as we remember you. And who have we got?
We have Brent Nelson's on. He's keeping track of our donations, by the way, and he says we've only got $100 so far tonight, and we have no recurring donations, new ones at all tonight. So maybe you can plug that a little bit. And we have...
In order to run this program, we need your help. And Brent, by the way, what's Brent's title? Well, Brent sits on the board.
Brent's the Director of Development, then he's also on the board.
He sits on the Purple Heart board, and that's Brent represented by his dovetail right here, which was remarkably well done over a remarkably long period of time. I have to throw that in.
Yeah. And
Big shout out to Brent.
And Michael Delvois on.
Michael.
Sibby's on.
Sibby over in Ireland, in Denmark, in Iceland. I got it. Sib.
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith. Mark was just here. Canadian vet. He worked here for us. I can't believe it was only 3 or 4 months, but I thought it was longer than that. Anyway, Mark was here in the last class. Great guy.
Danny Bell.
Danny Bell. Excuse me, I just talked to Danny the other day. You better be working on that drawer. Danny Bell, Night Stalker, 1/60th, Flew Chinooks. Excellent woodworker, too.
Michael Miller's on, and Jeff.
Michael Miller.
Michael.
Michael and his daughter.
Is Nanya.
Nanya? Nanya's on?
Yeah.
Jeff from Newfoundland via...
Jim Eakin?
No. Oh, Jim is?
Jim Eakin's on.
So Jeff was here last class. Jeff is from Newfoundland, lives in British Columbia.
Okay.
But that's Nanya.
Corey.
That would be Nanya business. He makes me smile.
Don.
Who else? Dominique? Dom, great craftsman. Combat wounded Marine EOD, missing a leg. But wow.
You know when we're doing
The draw? Are the selecting?
For the drawer project.
We'll work on that this week. We'll work on how we're going to do it. We want to make a big deal of it. Stay tuned. Who else did I miss? I heard you say some other names.
Tori.
Tori was here because of her dad. He blue chipped her, which is Michael. Tori. I won't repeat that she had better dovetails than her father. That's just between you and I.
Did you say Jim Eakin?
Yeah.
Jim Eakin, Golden Eye. We just talked to Jim the other day. Jim, you got the weekend to get that done and get it in.
He sent it.
Oh, he sent it?
He texted you today.
Oh, he did. Sorry, I spent the night with Bo at the hospital in Halifax and no sleep, as Jerry would say. No sleep. And then we just drove home, so I might not have seen it. Who else? That's it? Remember, if you're on there, say something so we can talk to you. I want to get another question, Frick.
All right, next one comes from Don Steben.
Hi, John.
Don.
Don?
Yeah.
As in D-O-N?
Yeah. If the in-feed and out-feed are the same on the jointer, should it take a small cut like a few thousandths? Trying to set up an old jointer after sharpening the blades.
Okay, read that again.
So
So he's talking about a power jointer?
He's trying to set up an old jointer after sharpening the blades.
Yeah.
If the infield and outfield are the same on a jointer, should it take a small cut, like a few thousandths?
No. No. So if I'm understanding you, the problem with old jointers, cheap old jointers, is the outfeed table didn't adjust, and they're really hard. Because now you have to have the blade set, yeah, that's just tough. So I think what you're saying is if I have the outfeed table and the infeed table parallel and at the same height, should it still be removing some material? No. Because if it does, what'll happen is if when they're at the same height and you run your board across, if it's taking off material, when you get right here, it's going to drop down like that. Because if it's taking off material, it's not touching this. So it's going to be up in the air, and then as the heel of the board exits the infeed table just before it gets to the cutter, it drops down like that and it takes a snipe out of the back. You don't want that. You might want it so that it's just touching it, but you certainly don't want it taking off material. I want to show you something else too. So this is a huge win. We drove them crazy. So Bessie makes the clamps that I now use. I think they're the best out there. And I've said it numerous times that the better you get at your woodworking and your joinery, the less clamping pressure you need. Instead of trying to force the two pieces together, you're just holding them together. There's a difference. And they make what's called the tradesman. That's the model. And the tradesmen are the best of the ones they make. They grab real quick, so when you're trying to speed adjust, they grab real quick because there's 6 serrated surfaces, 3 on each side. So it's very positive. Has a nice smooth Acme thread, and the cap is solid, so it doesn't leave a mark. Well, they have not sold these in North America for probably 30 some odd years. Now you say, wait a minute, I've seen them. Yeah, you have, but here's what you saw. You saw the El Cheapo version. So that's the tradesman. This is the homeowner. Proho. Just kidding. And this version is the cheap one. It only has one set of serrations here and here. The cap, which is the part that drives me the most, is actually hollow. So and I take these caps off oftentimes because I find they'll slip. Well, when you use it like that, it'll leave a ring. It's got a lousy thread. It's just a piece of junk. Anyway, we bugged them and hounded them and pestered them. Every time we'd see them at a vendor trade show, they didn't want us to even come near them anymore. But somehow they relented and they said, all right, fine, we'll sell them to you. So we just got the first 500 in. And I was so thrilled to get these so I could fill up my own. That's the one I use the most. It's the most convenient size. So get them while we got them. Next, Rick, please, and thank you.
All right, this next one's from Newcom J1. That's his username.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Ahmed on here lately.
His name's Jim. He's from Williamsport,
Hi, Jim.
Pennsylvania. How do you know when to regrind the primary bevel on a plain blade after multiple sharpenings?
No, that's a simple one. So I'll draw it on here. Grab a Sharpie. I haven't done that drawer yet. It's on the list. You want to see the latest one I did? I'll show them when you're done. Okay, so here's your plain blade. It's your primary bevel, 25 degrees. Every time you resharpen, you increase the size of the secondary bevel till you get to a point where the secondary bevel is considerably wide. Remember, the only part that touches the wood is right up here. So when that secondary bevel is getting so wide that it's taking you a lot longer time to sharpen, Hey, now go back over to your grinder and reestablish a new primary. Don't remove all of the secondary, just leave that little tiny bit. There's no reason to go all the way through. And now it's going to sharpen a whole lot faster because you have such a small secondary bevel. So I'd say by the time you're, I'd probably do it after a 16th. Secondary bevel gets to 16th of an inch wide, not much more. I would go back and regrind. And if you're going to regrind, do yourself a favor. Buy a CBN wheel. We sell them. We sell the 6-inch variety. We sell the 8-inch. Do we sell 10s? We use them. Do we sell them? Jake,
What?
10-inch CBNs?
No.
But if somebody needed one, we have them. Anyway, cuts so much faster than a regular wheel. It's already perfectly balanced. You don't have to dress the wheel. It's got abrasive on the surface and on both edges. On one side, wide enough you can actually do a flat grind if you want to. And it cuts nice and cool. You don't have to worry nearly as much about burning the steel on your tools. It will turn your grinder into a machine instead of a torture device. Nothing worse than trying to reshape those old wheels with that cast iron medieval torture device. Pieces flying all over the place. No wonder people are scared of grinders. Next, Rick.
I got a couple questions from Paul Pinto in the
Hey,
chat.
Paul.
First one's pretty quick. Rob recently created a video with Renaissance wax and showed tulip wood. Where can this be sourced?
Tulip wood or?
No, the Renaissance wax.
Oh, we sell it on our website. Remember, everything I use, we offer. I learned my lesson a long time ago teaching people, and they're watching me and saying, yeah, Rob, but I don't have one of those tools. And I would say, well, you're not having that one because that's mine. And then I realized, well, that's kind of dumb. So I can't think of anything behind me, maybe with that number 8, because that's Lee Nielsen, but I can't think of much of anything that we use that we don't provide for you if you want it. So no excuses. It's on the website under, what category is it under? Other?
Just in case he meant tulip wood, where could that be sourced?
I think he did mean tulip.
Yeah,
Well, if
now that I'm reading it again, I think.
Okay, if you're talking about Brazilian tulip wood, Mel carries it. Check out Exotic Woods in Burlington, Ontario. It's expensive. Ooh, it's beautiful wood. Oh, it smells so wonderful, like roses. Mel would be the first place that I would look. And then after that, I'm sure there's some other big specialty places that would carry it, but it's typically a relatively small tree. I don't think I've ever had boards any much wider than 6 or 7 inches. Most people would only use it for accents, and it's hard to dry because it is so dense. Just wondering it's easy to find over here because it's pink. I'll tell you what the Jenga scale number is on it. South American, Brazilian tulip wood, 2,500 on the Jenga scale, which makes it twice as hard as Eastern maple. Eastern maple, which we all think of as being a hardwood, is 1,450. Am I right, Jake? Hard maple is 1,450. Tulip wood is 2,500. So it's not double, but it's a lot harder. Next, Rick.
The second one from him was, I want to know if Rob has ever used a dowel plate, like the one Lee Nielsen makes, to form the dowels for a wooden box hinge. I find the process of making the dowel like Rob does a bit daunting.
Yeah, so here's my dowel plate. I've actually got 2 of them. I got the metric version and the standard. And the only problem is that if you start trying to drive a dowel down through there, the way the dowel plate is made, it has, that's all, the 5/8 one's easier to see. So the hole on this side is 5/8 of an inch. It's wider on the bottom. And there's a little flare. So it's only 5/8 for maybe a 32nd of an inch. And then it flares open like that. So if you start trying to pound a piece of wood through there to have it come out a 1/4 of an inch, there's nothing to control it from doing this. So you pound it through, and instead of getting a nice straight dowel, you get one that's all wiggly. So what I would do is drill a hole through a block of wood with thick enough, and then make that hole the size of your rough piece, so you can just get it through. But it needs to be lined up with that hole in the bottom of this dowel plate. Fasten the two together. Now when you pound it through, the top hole keeps it perpendicular to the dowel plate so that you don't get that twisting, and it'll give you a perfectly sized dowel. But you know what? It doesn't give you a very clean cut. Now I went through and I tried, the only way to sharpen it really is to come in here and polish this face, but that's a lot of work. Oh, it's a ton of work. Polish that face, and it's kind of like the way you would sharpen the blade on a molding plane, where you're just going to sharpen the flat side. Next, Frank.
Next one's from Elder Knight in the chat. He says, I have trouble keeping my plane and chisels cutting edges square with the side. I use diamond stones and a rollerblade guide.
Read it again.
I have trouble keeping my plane and chisels cutting edges square with the side.
Okay.
I use diamond stones and a rollerblade guide.
Throw away the roller guide. That's just a matter of pressure. You're putting too much pressure on one side than the other. So and you're probably applying too much pressure, which is something that's very common when people first learn to sharpen. So I always teach them freehand. And when you're sharpening freehand, so I'm holding it, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers along the cutting edge, distributing the pressure against the stone. Well, if you can imagine, back here I've got a pinky and a ring finger. Up here I've got a middle finger and an index finger. So just by the way we use our hands, you're going to apply more pressure up here than you are down there. So what happens? They end up skewing their blade. So you have to have very, very light pressure, and you got to be able to think through your fingers so that you're not pushing down harder in any one finger. And that takes a little bit of getting used to. And it's even harder when you're talking about doing a 1/4-inch chisel. So I mean, I've only got room for one finger there, but when I do a 1/4-inch chisel, I do little wee short strokes forward and back. Don't do circles. You do circles, you're almost always going to skew the blade. So find the primary bevel, come up off it, just do little wee short strokes, little short ones. And just as soon as you can feel a burr, you're done. Move to the final stone, and that's it. People probably get into more trouble from spending too much time sharpening instead of too little. We did a video called 32 Seconds to Sharp. Contrary to what it sounds like, it wasn't clickbait. It was how long it takes. Check it out. It's on YouTube, 32 Seconds to Sharp. And you are far better off spending too little time than too much time. Because when too much time fatigue sets in and you start rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden your blade's no longer square. So that's a beginner problem, but solvable. If you have to, you just got to go regrind.
Yeah.
What's that?
No one, funny comment.
Tell him, is that easy that?
No.
Boom boom?
Someone was asking about the apron, and Luther says next week you'll get a new apron. With
Next
the new,
week? This
with the
weekend?
Well, whatever.
So this apron, oh shoot, that's coming up.
You get the new apron next week. You don't get it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Monday.
Anyway, he says the aprons are like Luther's underwear. They only get changed every few months.
Yeah, and we just turn them inside out and then they're new. Hey Jake, who is this that's coming off?
I believe,
Oh, that's Mark. Yeah, that's Mark Smith. I gotta glue that back on. So each apron represents 2 weeks of class, 2 classes. And the vets that come to the class give me a patch that they most identify with. For those of us not military, you'd be involved in many units possibly during your career, but there'd always be that one that would stand out. So the patch comes, and then they sign the backside, and then after 2 classes, not 2 weeks, it goes up on the wall. We've got quite a few of them. In fact, I changed the position, so they start on that wall and they go all the way to the back wall. So this one will be retired shortly, and then I'll start my my June, July. Oh, Angie. Where is she? Here she is. Angie's on tonight. Angie and her sister Lynn do all of the packaging for our Purple Heart shirts. So when they come and they're neatly packaged, you can thank Angie. Her picture's on there. She's had a lot of extra work because Jake's been slacking and she has to cover slack for him. She's probably exhausted.
Now for me.
And now for Ken, because
We're gonna be moving.
never know where Ken is. Hey, Ange. Next, Fred. Was there another vet to say?
Ryan Groves, I don't know if he's a vet.
Oh, yeah, Ryan. Yeah. I think his already been submitted.
I don't know.
Better be. Howdy, Ryan.
Uh,
What do you got, Fred?
Another one from John Adams from Denver.
Hey, John.
How much bigger do you cut / dimension lumber for a drawer side? Drawer front back, just as an example.
Well,
You must start bigger than final dimension.
oh yeah, you have to. So if you really want to do it right, excuse me, the wood you buy, like I stopped into a lumber yard today that we're going to go and do a seminar at, and we're going to do a YouTube there. It's called London Lumber up in Moncton, Ontario. Moncton, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Yep. And I picked up some nice quarter-stone walnut. So what are the odds that the moisture content or relative humidity in his store is going to be the same as the relative humidity in my shop or in my house? So Alan Peters would always mill up the pieces, leaving them, he'd mill them twice. So he'd take the rough lumber and he would flatten it and thickness plane it, but take it down to maybe 5/8 when the M1 would end up with 7/16. And it would be wider by maybe a quarter an inch, be longer, maybe a ½ inch. And he would sticker them in his shop and he would leave it there. If you want to be real accurate, you weigh them, occasionally weigh them and record it. And when they no longer continue to lose or gain weight, meaning they're no longer giving off moisture or absorbing moisture, but they start to fluctuate, now they have reached equilibrium. Even better if you take that stuff and put it in your client's home. Well, you're going to have this in the living room? Well, we just have a little stack of lumber in your living room for a bit. Tell them you're being really fussy. So I'd always have extra pieces because occasionally if I had milled that up to, if I took 4/4 lumber, that's 1 inch thick, and I milled it down to 5/8 finished, and I stickered it, and I came back 5 weeks later, and there was a couple pieces that were twisted a little bit, chances are they're probably going to do that again. So I would avoid that piece, and I would use one of the spares that I made. So depending on how big it is going to be. Now what Alan would do, he'd come back in and he would resurface them, thickness plane them down to final thickness minus whatever you need in order to clean it up with your plane. And then you go through the process of, first thing I do is fit it to the opening, the sides that is, so that they just barely go in. One side on the bottom has always been flattened and planed, it's finished. And then you rip it on the table saw until it just barely goes in the opening, leaving you enough to get rid of the saw marks on the top side. Next, Rick. So let me just hit you with a little pitch. So we have had 35 classes with a total of 240. I think I said combat wounded vets are about to be 240. And for some of these people, this is a lifesaver, and we have no idea what we're doing, but we just keep doing it because it works. If you want to participate with us, if you would like to be part of that, the easiest way to do that is to help us financially. The best way, because we always have to plan, we have to plan things out a year in advance. The best way is to be a reoccurring donor. It's up to you what you want to spend. But a reoccurring donor just means that we know how much we can bank on each month. So what we do to give back to you, for every 10 new reoccurring donors we get on our live, we'll give away a $300 prize, usually a dovetail saw or something, or a plane, something like that. So, you want to be a part of a great thing? Do it. Anybody to say hello to? Frick, are we out of time?
Yeah, I'll just end it with
what?
I'll end it with a MASH question that someone asked you.
Oh, a MASH question. I'm ready.
This is from They Call Me MacGyver in the chat.
What's his first name?
That's his username. They call me MacGyver.
Oh, they call me MacGyver.
He says, which MASH actor served in the Korean War in real life?
Klinger, I believe, but so did, I think Hawkeye was actually in the Korean War. I'm going to say Hawkeye and Klinger both. Final answer? Now let me call a friend. Ken. I think Jamie Farr and Alan Alda both served in the Korean War. I'm almost positive Alan Alda.
Ding.
What?
You're right.
Both?
They're
You can't beat me.
They're the only ones that served in Korea, but they're not the only ones that were at the military.
Try as you may, that should be worth at least 10 reoccurring payments. Don't forget, spend your money, get yourself some of these clamps. We sell them individually or give you a deal if you buy them packs of 4. Oh, why? Wow, Jake, why didn't you say something?
I don't remember.
Shooting grips are back in. They've been out of stock how long? I should read you some of the fan mail we get on this. People talk about, this is the best thing that ever happened to a shooting board. It's not only comfortable, but it ups your control because it's positioned right beside the blade. Gives you just a ton of control. And the shooting board is such a critical piece of equipment in the shop. It's hard to believe, with all the yapping I do about it, that there's still people that don't use a shooting board. We got to keep Brandon busy because he makes all our shooting boards, and that's about all he does because we sell so many of them. We will see you folks on Thursday night, 7 Eastern, and you're going to get a chance to meet some of these fine folks that are going to be here. This is always exciting the couple days before the class, and we have some of the best food you've ever eaten. Oh my goodness, that Sunday night buffet we have is fantastic. What's your favorite part of the week, Frick?
No, I'd say Sunday as well. Oh, and the surf and turf.
Surf and turf.
Steak and lobster.
Steak and lobster on Friday night. Jake, what's your favorite part of the week? Doesn't have to be the food, just what's your favorite part of the week? Getting to spoon with Kyle?
When Kyle leaves.
When Kyle leaves. Ken, what's your favorite part?
Brisket.
The brisket? So we bring the staff in, what, twice?
Twice, yeah.
So we only feed them breakfast and supper because they complain they have too much food. Who'd have heard? So the staff can sign up for 2 meals. So they come in and join us because they're already cooking for 20 people. So that brings it up to, how many do we usually have in there when staff come? 30? Must be close because there's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of us. And there'd be at least 12 of them. So anyway, they come in to join us. And my favorite part is, I have 2 favorite parts. Sunday night meeting everybody for the first time, and then hearing their stories throughout the week. That is the most memorable part. That's how I remember these guys, because they leave an indelible mark on me. See you in a few days. And if you're on your way to here, travel safely, and we will see you Sunday night, 7 o'clock, Grand Bay, New Brunswick, 275 River Valley Drive. Don't miss it. See ya.